What's up, Rad family? Recently, the famous horror director George A. Romero passed away, and seeing as the very first zombie movie I've ever watched was Dawn of the Dead, which he created, I felt like doing a video in honor of him. So today we are covering 29 interesting facts about the Dead series. So let's get to it.
Number 1.
Romero made a name for himself with his directorial debut, Night of the Living Dead. With its modest estimated budget of $100,000, the movie earned roughly $30 million worldwide, making it one of the top grossing independent films ever created, setting the bar pretty damn high for his career.
Number 2.
Night of the Living Dead wasn't always going to be the title. In fact, one of the possibilities for the film was Night of the Flesh Eaters. If it seems super sci-fi, it's because it was. Originally, the creatures were going to be extraterrestrial inspired, but it was changed to the dead coming back and munching on the living. It's interesting to think how differently the horror genre would be if the original ideas had panned out.
Number 3.
If you thought some of the body munching looked pretty realistic, it's because it was. Kind of. Instead of pretend eating, the actors actually did feast on ham covered in chocolate sauce. That sounds utterly putrid.
Number 4.
If that last fact has you confused about why chocolate sauce was used, it's because the movie was shot in black and white, and Bosco chocolate syrup was used in place of fake blood. Its consistency looked pretty darn realistic on film and was a common practice for horror movies at that time.
Number 5.
There are a lot of zombies in this movie, like a lot. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that a reported 200 extras were used to play as townspeople and zombies throughout the film.
Number 6.
To accommodate the low budget, the house scene in the movie was actually loaned to the filmmakers by the homeowner. Seeing as the homeowner was planning on demolishing the house anyway, the crew was able to do as they pleased, not having to worry about damages. Now that's one nice gesture.
Number 7.
The cemetery scene is arguably one of the most famous scenes in the entire movie, and it was shot over 2 days. Problem was, after the first day of filming was completed, the car driven into the cemetery was involved in an accident, resulting in a visible dent. Thinking quickly, the scene was rewritten so that the car ran into a tree, masking the sudden dent. That's pretty clever.
Number 8.
The cemetery was also real. The scene was filmed at Evans City Cemetery, and the location was chosen by Romero himself because of its secluded location away from neighbors. Afraid of dealing with neighbors and police visits, privacy was incredibly important for the exterior shots. With the cemetery situated on top of a hill, it was the perfect spot.
Number 9.
With the release date of October 1st, 1968, Night of the Living Dead just barely made it into theaters without being subjected to the US rating system, which begun the following month. That's a close call.
Number 10.
If you ever wondered why zombie movies commonly say the undead creatures snack on humans and need to have their brains destroyed to be killed permanently, you have this movie to thank. These details forever shaped the zombie genre and gave Romero the nickname Godfather of Zombies.
Number 11.
If you felt there was a tone change between Night and Dawn, it wasn't just in your mind. The script was intentionally more comedic, reportedly because Romero wanted a more comic book feel.
Number 12.
Like the first movie, filming at real locations was a great way to keep budgets low and to give a more genuine feeling. Dawn was mainly filmed at Monroeville Mall during the winter of 1977 and 1978. To avoid the crowds, the cast and crew would begin filming around 10 p.m. after closing and would shoot until 6 a.m., ending well before the mall opened for the day.
Number 13.
Since they chose winter, they had to take a 3-week break in order to avoid having to take down the Christmas decorations before filming and replacing them each day when they were done. At one point in the movie, there is actually a sign hanging in the window of JCPenney, which reads, "After Christmas sale." It's easy to see how a detail that small could be overlooked by the crew.
Number 14.
Keeping with the practice of using lots of extras, for the outdoor scene where an assorted large group of people begin shooting at the zombies, actual National Guard members and local emergency crews volunteered to play part. Not only did this help stay within budget, it also gave these people a really rad story to tell their friends and families.
Number 15.
Continuity errors may be a pain in the butt for filmmakers, but for viewers like me, it's a lot of fun to catch them. This error can be seen, or rather heard, when Steven tells Fran they're escaping in the helicopter, but Fran is then heard referring to Steven by the actor's real name, which was David. The error apparently wasn't caught until it was too late to fix it. I'm sure that must have drove somebody mad.
Number 16.
Keeping with the tradition of using volunteers, most of the zombie extras seen in the movie were local residents. For some, they were given a cap that said, "I played a zombie in Day of the Dead," a copy of the newspaper from the beginning of the film, and $1. It has always been a dream of mine to play a zombie extra in a movie or TV show, and I'd gladly do it for free. So getting some sweet loot sounds like a great deal to me.
Number 17.
Speaking of that newspaper, some really cool details can be found in it. Some of the headlines are said to have read, "Vice President declares state of emergency, whereabouts of the president unknown, food supply dwindles, and man bites man." It's these small details that really add to the story.
Number 18.
One fun overlooked detail can be spotted in the opening scene of the movie. When the camera pans over the city, if you look to the left of the screen, you'll see a car moving. It only shows briefly, so next time you watch it, try to see if you can spot it.
Number 19.
Despite it being the lowest grossing film of the original Dead trilogy, on the special edition DVD, Romero claims this is his favorite one, which goes to show numbers aren't everything to everyone.
Number 20.
Once again, opting to shoot on location rather than a soundstage. The underground facility was filmed in the Wampum Mine, if I said that right, a former limestone mine near Pittsburgh that was being used for an underground storage facility.
Number 21.
The Day of the Dead wasn't actually the original plan for the third installment. According to reports, Romero couldn't get the budget necessary for his idea that involved the scientists living above ground in a fortress and the military living underground, as well as an army of zombies. If that plot premise sounds familiar, it's because this later became the plot of Land of the Dead.
Number 22.
For zombie movie enthusiasts, a couple familiar faces can be found making a cameo in the carnival scene. The zombies in the photo booth are played by none other than Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright. Apparently Romero loved Shaun of the Dead and he asked the duo to appear in the fourth installment.
Number 23.
If you feel like you've seen some clips in the opening montage, it's probably because you have. In the opening credits, the montage aims to explain what happened leading up to the current movie. It does this by including clips from the Night of the Living Dead. Romero wanted to also include clips from Dawn and Day, but seeing as the movies were produced with different studios, there were issues with the rights.
Number 24.
It might seem odd considering the nearly 40-year gap between movies, but the plot of Diary takes place on the same day as Night, though the setting is still in present day, which does make sense considering the group is unaware of the outbreak in the beginning.
Number 25.
Keeping with his tradition of shooting on a lower budget, Diary was filmed with an estimated budget of $2 million and filmed over a measly 23 days. Now, if that doesn't motivate aspiring filmmakers out there to get up and make that idea of yours into a movie, I don't know what will. Okay, $2 million still sounds like a lot to independent filmmakers because it totally is, but I was referring to how quickly it was filmed.
Number 26.
Also keeping with the theme of sprinkling in nods to the first movie in the franchise, when the group is searching the RV for the missing dead body, you can hear a television report in the background, which is taken directly from Night.
Number 27.
Besides inspiring the creator of The Walking Dead, there's another connection to the famed zombie series. The horse scene in Survival also appeared in the very first episode of The Walking Dead. I thought that was neat.
Number 28.
For those that have an incredibly sharp eye, might have noticed a little geographical error. Though the movie is set in Pennsylvania, it was actually filmed in Canada. So in the scene where they're in the back of the armored car, when the boy shows the soldiers the video on his iPhone, the cell carrier named on the screen says Rogers, but it probably should have said AT&T.
And number 29.
Sadly, Survival of the Dead is the last film George A. Romero ever directed. Maybe it's a bit fitting seeing as it closed out the series that began everything. I hope these 29 facts interested you and maybe even inspired you to go watch a Romero film, even if you've seen it like 10 times, because they only get better. I hope you have an awesome day, and until next time, keep it with radness, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.